Good morning, everybody. Now, this Labour government or the Starmer regime just gets worse and worse every day. What we have now is an announcement that the Labour government, with Angela Rayner particularly charging this forward as the deputy leader, is going to start building en masse on the green belt outside of our major cities. Now, the green belt is a legacy from our forefathers to protect our cities, our big cities, and to stop them actually from expanding out into megalopolises or whatever you like to call them. So, of course, the most well-known green belt, the biggest one, is around London. So the green belt protects the countryside around London and stops urban sprawl going into Essex and Hertfordshire, Kent, Surrey, Berkshire, Buckinghamshire, the counties around London. And of course, there are other green belts around the Greater Birmingham area, Greater Manchester, Liverpool, Leeds, most of West Yorkshire, South Yorkshire, Bristol, Oxford, Cambridge, and a couple of other places. And they're there to protect the countryside around all of our major cities because our forefathers are very wise, and they saw that, looked at New York, for example, and that's how that sprawled all the way along Long Island. And they thought, well, we don't want our cities to, in the future, there's going to be huge pressure to just expand the cities without end into all of our beautiful countryside. And it is absolutely beautiful and glorious countryside. It is our heritage and it needs to be protected. But what the Labour government have said now is that they're going to build 1.5 million homes in the next 5 years or during their first term of office. So that's not going to start immediately, but from next year. So there'll be about 4 years or so in which they're going to start building 1.5 million homes, which is nearly 400,000 homes a year that they want to build, and they want to do this and use the path of least resistance. So they're going to redesignate huge areas of our green belt as grey belt, and then allow councils to just go and build on them without any proper consultation process, planning process. They can just do it. This is going against all local democracy. I mean, they talk about giving power back to local people, but they're implementing a new planning framework which takes away all power from local people completely. Even if they complain, even if they have some councillors on the planning committee or the council cabinets where they are who oppose building on the green belt and building in our beautiful villages and towns and cities, they're going to say that the government, Angela Rayner in particular, can overrule council's objections and the objections of local people, because they're just going to go and build these 1.5 million homes. And the worst thing is here, and this was exposed by Trevor Phillips, who used to be a crazy lefty. Now he's a little bit more sensible on some things, not all things, but some things. But he did some very good questioning of Angela Rayner on this weekend on Sky News on his programme, and actually exposed the fact that 5 out of 7 of any new homes that will be built will go to migrants. Only 2 out of 7 will go to British citizens, and some of them will probably be children of migrants who have come in over the last 70 or 80 years. So very few of these 1.5 million homes are going to go to white British people, English, Scottish, Welsh, Northern Irish people. Although when they are doing the propaganda for it, you've got Keir Starmer and Angela Rayner all of a sudden abandoning diversity and showing these lovely white families going into new homes and saying, oh, we're going to look after the people. Yeah, and this is all to do with replacement migration. And obviously the plans are to keep them in huge levels of migration to the UK coming. It's now, for the last 2 years, been 700,000 net, or 1.2 million per year, absolute 500,000 going, 1.2 million coming in, which gives you your 700,000 approximate net figure. And most of the people coming in are not from European countries or North American countries anymore. They are from 5 countries, mainly India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nigeria, and China. China, there's a lot of students coming from China, but the other countries are people coming in seeking work because the Conservatives under Camille Badenoch, who is now, she was an immigration minister, she was something to do with immigration anyway, and when the Conservatives, the fake Conservatives were in power, and she supported massively increasing the number of work visas to come from those countries. So now that has happened for the last 2 years. Keir Starmer is not going to do anything to change it. Under this Labour government regime, we are going to continue to get over 1 million people per year coming, with a net figure probably of 700,000, 600,000 for the next 4 or 5 years, which means net 3 million people over the next 5 years coming into the country. So this is why they want to build all of these homes. What we need to do is just have a moratorium on immigration, whether it's legal or illegal. And that will not solve the high housing crisis, but it will mean that it won't get any worse. And then we won't have to trash the English countryside and the green belt like Labour are doing, like Angela Rayner is leading, being in charge of housing and communities. It's a joke, isn't it? But they are leading by having a terrible solution to a problem that doesn't need to exist. Because if we controlled our borders and we went back down to migration, which was, around about zero, or a few tens of thousands coming in, sometimes a few tens of thousands leaving on occasion. 2 or 3 years that happened. Mostly it was immigration, but sometimes emigration. But if we get round back to about zero net migration, then we won't need to build all of these new homes all over the countryside, ruining the countryside and trashing the green belt, trashing the legacy and heritage which has come down from us, from our forefathers. And the worst places, the places that are going to be hit worst will be in outer London and the southeast England, of course, because the green belt goes around London. So if you're in the London boroughs of Barnet and Enfield and Bromley, those are places, and Havering as well, those are places that still have quite a significant amount of greenbelt land within the Greater London area. Particularly Bromley, half of Bromley Borough is greenbelt. It's lovely, beautiful farmland. They want to take all that farmland and woodland and just build on it and turn it into a big housing estate. That's basically the plans for Bromley. Bromley has been told that they're going to have to increase the rate at which they build new homes by 13 times. They're going to have to build 13 times as many homes per year from next year as they have been doing so far in the past. So there you go. All the green belt in the London borough of Bromley is going to be totally wiped out. And then similar for Barnet, similar for Enfield. But of course, it's not just those London boroughs. They're going to be the worst hit because they have some lovely green belt land and farmland still. But it's going to be all over the country as well. Even they're talking about the New Forest. They want the New Forest, which is a beautiful and well-known, internationally known, historic area. It's a national park, and they're saying the New Forest is going to got to increase the number of homes that they build per year by 8 times. And they're talking about Portsmouth. Well, I don't know where they're going to put new homes in Portsmouth because it's already totally chock-a-block. I mean, unless they knock down homes and build some of these horrible skyscraper blocks, these soulless, smart prison blocks. They look like prison blocks. I mean, you can go in and out, but they just look so depressing. This is, whole swathes of east and north London. Even when you go into Manchester on the train, when you go into Leeds on the train, it just looks hideous. It looks so soulless and homogenous. Just blocks of depressing skyscrapers for people to be stacked in. That seems to be what the new idea of architecture is. Nothing beautiful, nothing that uplifts the soul. It's just stack them high, and take as much money as you can in the way, and don't care about what the community feels like, what the neighborhoods look like and feel like. No consideration to the history of the area, the traditions of the area, the traditional architectural styles, even giving space to people. I mean, when I was on the London Assembly, one of the most hideous ideas that was floated, which everybody else seemed to agree with and like, and I seem to be the only one opposed to it, was infilling. Now, infilling is where you have, say, a council estate or a neighbourhood, but it's got some green spaces between the blocks, because even in the 60s, when they built these hideous council estates, even then the people still thought, who were building them, there was no architectural, beauty about these places at all. But even then, people thought, well, the people living there need some space. Kids need space to play. People need space to go out, sit in the sun. Not that there is much sun anymore, but that's a whole other issue. People need to walk their pets. But now you have Tory, Labour, Lib Dem, Green all seem to think that they can build more housing units by infilling the spaces between council blocks, which are already depressing enough, but you have a little bit of green land, which they use for recreation. They're going to take that green land and build another block on it. So there's no space between any of the blocks. There's nowhere to even, go out and walk and, to play ball or take your kids or meet anyone for a chat in a nice area. It's just going to be, depressing, monocultural, smart buildings everywhere. And that's the idea of the future. And, for under the other parties. So, needless to say, I'm completely opposed to this. I don't think it's going to happen, to be honest, to the level that they say it's going to be. I mean, the fake Conservatives are always talking about they have targets for 300,000 homes a year. Labour is now saying 400,000 homes a year, and that was never reached. I mean, in the last, the average number of homes that's been built in the UK over the last 10, 20 years has been 150 to 200,000. It's really difficult to go above that level because there just isn't the supply chain of materials and the number of people who are able to do construction, and raise levels above 200,000 a year. So I don't think it is going to happen at that level. But the odious thing is that they are now, well, they have, I think, or they're talking about changing the planning laws, as I've said before. So what that will mean is that councils will not be able to object. People will not be able to object. And, we need to change this back again. The fake Conservatives always said they were going to change this and make it easier for councils to just build where they want and not have a proper consultation, not have to listen to objections of local people, which again is taking power away from people. That's what these two cheeks of the same backside uniparty are like. But here Labour are in and they actually want to do it. They're actually saying they're going to do it. So we need to get rid of Labour sooner rather than later. If this has to wait to the next general election, they will do some damage. They won't do as much as they probably say they will. As I say, they're not going to be able to build 400,000 homes a year. Maybe they will, you start 200,000 a year, but they're not going to be able to do that much. But they will still do some damage, and they will do great damage to areas which are now protected. So the worst thing is, rather than, just at the moment, things going up around towns, and I hate the destruction of our towns and cities, and the demolition of old buildings to put up these horrible blocks of, people warehouses. But they're going to change the planning laws to do this. So they've got to go. Labour have got to go, and we can't let the fake Conservatives back in, because they're just the same. They already wanted to do that. And Labour are actually doing it, changing the planning laws. That is. So you got to please come and join me in the Heritage Party, because we're the only party which is standing against this, and that's got a chance of actually growing big enough to get rid of the Uniparty. So please, if you want to fight this and stand up for your countryside, your rural England, your heritage, and also to stop towns and cities and villages and from being destroyed by this Labour government imposing on local areas, new housing estates, more new housing estates that are 3, 4, 5 times as big as the villages and towns that they're being built next to, then we need to stop this from happening. And we need to. It's the other side of the coin of immigration. You cannot separate the housing crisis from the immigration crisis. Even Oxford University, woke Oxford University, did a study in October this year, and the study said that there are likely to be around 745,000 foreign nationals in the country illegally. Now, they're all living somewhere in a home, but they shouldn't be here. So they all need to be deported because they're here illegally. I mean, of course, there are 10,000 foreign nationals in prisons. It goes without saying that when they finish their sentence, they should be deported immediately. They shouldn't be released back into the UK. They should be deported. Another figure from early this year was from the ONS, the Office for National Statistics, from August, that said there's 1.68 million foreign nationals in the country who are either unemployed or not economically active. So why on earth are they here? And that costs the taxpayer. Government spends £8.5 billion per year on this 1.68 million foreign nationals who are in the country legally. Perhaps legally, some of them maybe legally, some of them illegally. There's probably a little bit of overlap between these from the ONS and the 745,000 from the Oxford University study. There must be some overlap probably, but 1.68 million foreign nationals not economically active or unemployed, and they shouldn't be in the country, really. If you're coming to the country and you're foreign national, you either come to study or you come to work. Mostly, I know there are some genuine asylum seekers, white South African farmers. Although we don't let them in, we should do. I would, but of course the globalist Uniparty doesn't. They let in all kinds of people who are fake UGs coming over from France in a safe country in a dinghy. They all need to be stopped and sent home so that we alleviate the housing crisis. Labour and the fake Conservatives are making it worse, and they will continue to make it worse. So you know what to do. Please come and join me in the Heritage Party to fight this at both a local level. We've got council elections coming up in May 2025, and the next election, whenever it happens. Join us on heritageparty.org. Thanks for listening. Let's restore our nation. God bless you all.